Hi guys, welcome. So today I'm going to show you a little exploit that I discovered last year sometime. I have shown a few people, but I thought it was about time that I showed anyone who may be interested. But there we have the Far Harbour screening, the Diamond City lift, Diamond City gate, these creepy monkeys working, Nuka World lift. These are from the Yangtze, the missile, and that reactor, which is from mass fusion. If you take the warhead out of that, or the beryllium agitator I think it is that's inside that thing, then you won't be able to take them anymore. They'll just come up with the repair option. You won't be able to grab them and move them. This boat's from the USS Constitution, so is all the rest of this stuff. This is now in our mods, so it's irrelevant. This bell has also been added to the new Akira's clutter, but the one in that is non-functional, so if you do want a functional one of those freestanding bells, USS Constitution. So these lids, we don't have these lids for these. We've got these back pieces in mods now, but if you do want to have a working lid for it, same as the circuit breakers, if you want some lids for those, you can take them. These lasers, they've been recently added to the new Akira's clutter, as well as Fallout 4 guy requested by QwaPA, or Officer in Charge Toys Out of the Pram, I believe it stands for. We'll just call him QwaPA, it's a bit easier. The ones in Fallout 4 guy requested aren't functional just yet. That's been worked on to get those working for you. So this is the Institute main lift. It's a real pain. Take that before you destroy the place. But it is a really cool lift. These sorts of things will never be able to be added to PlayStation 4 mods. So no matter what gets added to mods that you'll find in here, that is one thing that will never be added. Same as these yellow lifts. Not saying these are impossible, but there's been a few good modders already attempt to try and get these things going in the games, but it's proven impossible or quite a hard task so far. I will cover these a little bit more later on in this video, seeing as these are probably going to be one of the most popular things that people are going to want to take. So all your button activated doors, again, the doors themselves can be added to mods, but you can't get button activated ones for the mods. So if you do want these sorts of door setups, and this one's in the Institute. So these button operated doors you'll find everywhere around the Commonwealth. You can't take terminals, so don't bother trying to take doors that have got terminals on them. The terminals won't work with this trick. The cryolator case is another one that's been added to Fallout 4 guy requested mod by QwaPA. These you can take. I dare say these will be added at some time as well. You can take the accessible ones. I might mention that actually, see if we can have that one added. There's the gorilla enclosure door. Again, that won't be functional for you, but may be added to the Fallout 4 guy requested mod as well soon sometime. These, I've taken these ones from the Gauntlet. I haven't tried the ones in the Commonwealth, but these vices with the guns in them, perfectly fine to take from there. You can spawn the guns in as well with the vice. When you do, the guns will be detached from the vice, but if you wait a while, they automatically spawn back in to the vice they come from. Either that, or you can just use place anywhere to put them in there if you're a bit impatient and don't want to wait for that to happen. These guys from the Mechanist Lair. It's that klaxon light. There's a couple other tricks that you need to know to be able to take that, so I won't go into any sort of depth on that. They're a real pain. Feel free to try and take that one, but I guarantee you're going to have a real nightmare. So here's another thing from the Gauntlet. grenade bouquets. The single ones are fine, the triple ones seem to disappear after a while if you take those. So just take the single ones there if you want them. And yeah, same with these working monkeys. Are from Nuka World. The ones in the Commonwealth don't work with this trick. For some reason they won't register to the workbench, but the ones in Nuka World do. So there's a few of those in the gauntlet as well, if you like those little creepy buggers. Now with this Diamond City gate, if you do want it, the main thing you're going to get it for is just the visuals. But if you do want it working, I'll explain to you how to do that. So the problem with it is the open animation is there, that's fine. There is no closing animation for it. So, but the option is there. So if you press close, say wait 5 to 10 seconds, then make a save and reload it. When you load back in, the door will be shut. And the same thing when we fast travel away somewhere and come back. In this video I'll be going to Far Harbour, so when we come back you'll see that that door will be closed at that point. So that's about it for this stuff. The reason why I have all this stuff in here was to make it easier for you guys to know which stuff is low risk at disappearing or won't disappear at all. It hasn't disappeared for me. I can't guarantee I've grabbed everything in the game and tried it, but I've done my best to exhaust all the options. I've spent months going through finding all of this stuff that will stay and won't disappear. So like I said, feel free to try other things, but chances are it might disappear on you. If you don't want to take that risk, just stick to the stuff that I've shown you in this video. Alright, so we'll go to Far Harbour, and in the meantime I'll show you another little exploit that I won't cover today. So normally if you do take this Far Harbour boat you can't function it, but I have figured out another way through means of mods to make that happen. So let's go for a little joyride on the old Far Harbour boat. Okay, so the reason why we're in Far Harbour is to show you how flexible this little exploit is. So basically, if you want bridge lifts from the Commonwealth in Far Harbour, you can. If you want bridge lifts inside interior cells like Vault 88, you can. So there is no limits as to where you can or can't send stuff or take stuff from doing this. The mods that you're going to need for being able to do this in the first place is QwaPA, Build Anywhere and Scrap That Commonwealth, or STC. STS isn't enough, seeing as it mainly only deals with the vanilla settlements. It's not going to work to be able to take the majority of those objects. So first up, you're going to want to do as I do exactly, and I'll explain why. So make your way over to your bread box. You don't have to use the bread box, but you're better off using it. Okay, so drop it. I'll just stick it over here at an angle just to show you why you need to do it this way. So we'll make it static. Press your QwaPA select. Go to your miscellaneous. Make the object static. Okay, now it's static. We'll grab our Build Anywhere workshop there. Alright, so now we've got it. Enter workshop mode. Now you're in workshop mode, you want to go grab this object and place it. So the reason why we made it static first, and I put it on an angle just to show you, is when I grab this it will kick up. So what's happened there is it's set to its perfect level for north, south, east, west now, which is how most objects are defaulted out of the menu or placed in the game for things like lifts. If you don't do this, and this is a little bit crooked when you make it static and then you send objects to it, your lift's going to be off at an angle, and that's just going to be a little bit of a pain to try and build around after that. So yeah, stick to that method, how I done it. Make it static, then come into build mode, select it, place it. Then I like to use my place anywhere post and put it up in the air a bit. The reason why is some objects will come in underneath here, and that will avoid them ending up underground. And if they do end up underground because you've got it placed down too low, that doesn't really matter. Your place anywhere post will pull them back out. Alright, so now we've done that, we'll make our way back to the slog. So when we get back to the slog, I will go through a few things about the Build Anywhere workshop, and it might explain a few problems that some people are having. At the least, it will certainly explain why you need to pay attention to what you're doing to avoid this particular problem. Okay, so we're back at the slog. First thing we're going to need to do is put down the Build Anywhere workshop. And so as I was saying before, I'll just quickly explain to you about that. So the way the workbenches work is whatever you place within the build mode for the bench that you're in, it registers to that workbench. So if I was to go into this workbench, because all of these objects were picked up and placed and taken with the Build Anywhere workbench, they are registered to it. So when you go to use your Place Anywhere post, oh, that's the group select post. It will only look for the closest object that is registered to that workshop. So that was the berries that are in the pool. And now I'm in the correct workshop for these objects. It will now pick up the button. Okay, so just remember that if you're using the Build Anywhere workbench and a vanilla workbench in a settlement, you are going to end up with objects that are registered to each different workbench, unless you go out of your way to make sure that you're only using the Build Anywhere workbench all the time, seeing as you're going to be taking some of these objects, or quite possibly going to be taking some of these objects. Otherwise, really, there's no point to have this bench in here. But that's how that works. So in the past, if you found that your Place Anywhere post wasn't working on certain objects, that would be the reason why. So with these lifts, always make sure you take both buttons that you'll find on the bridge. Ignore this one, that's the one that comes on the lift. You can take it with this trick. It is prone to sort of having problems jumping out of place and stuff like that. So all you need is this one that you'll find down on the ground, and it's probably hard to see there at the moment, but I've got one up top. I'll just grab the one for the video just to show you. Okay, so what I do is I put down some walls next to the bridge lift first to see how high it is. One, to make sure it's the right height to what I want, because they all come at different heights. Two, so I can remember if I'm just going to take any, how high they are. So that'll allow me to figure out where I need to place it once I get it back to my settlement, because they will always stay at their set lengths or heights there. So we've got our bread box in Far Harbour as the destination tilt place for this. I didn't double make sure that that bread box was going to be the destination. I just know it's going to be, because when you do make static, you've got to use QwaPA select on it, and it will remain like that. But It pays to make sure sometimes and press square on the box to QwaPA select it to make sure that that's going to be the destination that these things end up. Be careful, you don't want to be running around the Commonwealth, accidentally select something, go to do a tilt, because then you're going to be sending these objects to some random location you're probably not going to remember where you put it. Okay, so general selector post. Now that button's gone to Far Harbour. Now I'll show you the placement point for these lifts. I always do them down. One, because it's much easier to get the button off the top of the bridge, lower it down onto the ground using your advanced tools. Then come down the bottom, press your button, bring the lift down, and then send your other button and the lift itself off. Another one is there's less chance of the carriage here at the bottom having a collision with anything. So use your advanced controls there to lower it right down, holding L1 and X. After you've done that for a little bit, look up, you'll see the arms for the top there, bring them down as well, and now look down at the ground a little bit, and that's where they want to place. General selector post, so that's gone to Far Harbour. And we'll send off a monkey as well, just for the sake of showing you. So as I was saying before, you can see that that door's now down. It's just that the close animation's missing from it, but you can still close it by issuing the command and then saving and reloading. Alright, so that stuff's gone to Far Harbour now, so we will go back there and I'll show you. Okay, so as you can see, these objects are now in Far Harbour. A lift from the Commonwealth and a monkey from Nuka World. So we'll grab the Build Anywhere workbench back out. Okay, so we'll enter, I'll grab this first, get it out of the way. We'll bring this lift up. Now that this lift is registered to the workbench, it's better off being placed up. We'll grab this creepy little bugger and stick him over here. Somewhere. So I'll grab the Place Anywhere post out. Alright, so what I like to do is I'll sacrifice my first post. Grab another post out. Attach it, so now that post is going to be easily accessible. Through the whole process, don't detach your post. Leave it attached. So what I do is, say we know that this is 6 stories high now. This is a bit of a unrealistic example, but it is just an example, so bear with me. So what I will do then, after I've put it in place, 6 stories up in the air, I'll then grab the 2 buttons that I have for the lift. I'll place one down the bottom, I'll place one at the top, and then you can just keep pressing the buttons to make your adjustments and things like that and build stuff around it. After you've done that, detach your post and then get your buttons into place exactly where you like them. Yeah, so that's my nice little trick there. There is other uses for that. It can be used to get water to settlements that are normally too hard to get water down in, so as long as you do have one place where you can put water down, then you can do that, but I will do a separate video for that. There's still people still having troubles with placing water, so yeah, that'll make things easier. Like I've had people asking how to place water at Coastal Cottage, for example, and it's just one of those locations where it's going to be a little bit too hard to even really bother or consider it, but by using this trick you can do so. That's all from me, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video.